stand with the feet about hip distance apart, relaxing at the knees. We're going to start with a stretch for the neck. It's just taking your ear over to one shoulder. If you'd like, you could take that same hand and just gently guide it a little bit closer to the shoulder. And if you'd like a little bit more, you could try wrapping that bottom arm behind your back, pressing that shoulder a little bit further away from your ear, taking some nice deep breaths. Good, and from here, let's just turn the chin down towards the floor, bringing the hand to the back of the head to gently guide the chin a little bit closer to the body. And release the arms, release the head. Let's take that to the other side. So dropping the ear over. With the option to add your hand if you'd like. And again with the option to wrap your arm behind your back to press that shoulder down just a little bit further away from your ear. Just keeping the breath deep and free. Good, let's turn the chin down towards the floor, hand coming to the back of the head, guiding that chin just a little bit closer towards your body, making sure that we're not yanking or pulling on the head, just stretching, not stressing the neck. Good, and let's bring it back up from here, just releasing the head, releasing the hands. Going into a little neck retraction, drawing the chin back and hold, and release. Drawing the chin back and hold, and release. 2 more times, pulling the chin back, making that double chin, and release it 1 more time, pulling it back. Good. Let's move into the shoulders next. So we're going to take one hand behind the back, keeping the arm extended. We just want to grab a hold of the wrist with the opposite hand and try to keep the arm extended, but lift it up and across towards your opposite shoulder. Just going to your own degree with that stretch. Release it in, and let's take it to the other side. Grabbing the other hand, stretching up and across. Good, releasing it down, continuing with that shoulder. Take the other hand and just reach it up and across to your opposite shoulder, and then let it go. Try it again, try to walk up a little bit higher perhaps with the fingertips up on the shoulder blade. And release. 1 more, we'll hold this one a little bit longer. Take it up and across as far as you can. And release it. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Taking the arm up and across. And you'll most likely notice that one shoulder feels a little bit freer than the other. That's completely natural. Just go to your own degree. Last one that we'll hold. Good. And release it down. Good, let's take this arm up, bending the elbow, reaching the fingertips down the spine. Bring your opposite hand up and just see if you can hug that elbow in a little bit closer to your head. So really trying to aim the forearm and the fingers down the back of the head and the middle of your spine. Relaxing your chin towards your chest. Breathing deep and free. Gently release that arm. Let's take it to the other side. Fingertips reaching down the spine, elbow really hugging in towards the midline of the body. And let it go. Good. Just take your arm, bending at your elbow, reach your hand across to your opposite shoulder. And then with the other hand, gently press up with the fingertips, see if you can raise that elbow up towards your nose. If you need to further the stretch, you can walk your hand even further across and then lift from here. Just kind of adjust the position of your arm until you feel that shoulder stretch. Good, releasing it. Let's take the other arm across. Using those fingertips to gently lift the elbow up towards the nose. Good, let the arms come down by your sides. Let's just take a nice deep breath in, stretching the arms overhead, spreading the fingers wide, pressing your palms together. Slowly bring those hands together, down in front of your chest, keeping the palms pressed until you feel a nice little stretch in your wrists and your forearms. From here we can take it over to one side and to the other side. Good, and back to the center. Just take one hand out in front of you like you're saying stop. Gently pull back on your fingertips. And pointing the fingers down, pressing on the back side of the hand. And let's take it to the other side. Fingertips back, gently. And pointing them down, pressing on the back side of that hand. Good. Continue to open the shoulders, but also getting into the chest next. Fingertips coming to the shoulders. Bring the elbows in front of you. Try to hug those elbows all the way together. Take a nice deep breath in and open across your chest, opening the elbows wide to the sides. Exhale, elbows squeezing in. Inhale, open, squeeze the shoulder blades back and together, widen across your chest. 2 more times, together with the elbows. Inhale, open. 1 last time, squeezing the elbows together. And opening them out to the side. Good, going further into the chest. See if you can bring your fingertips to the back of your head. We're going to bring the elbows in, round the spine. Inhale, lift the heart. Open, 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 bringing the elbows as far back behind you as you can. And again, rounding forward. Inhale, open up. Twice more, rounding forward. Opening and lifting. Once more, and round. And open. Good. And take a second to just reach one arm across your chest. We're going to gently guide it with one hand. Just pulling on that wrist, stretching across your upper back. Let your chin fall down towards the chest. Doing a little side stretch at the same time. And come back to the other side, switching the hand. Gently pulling across. And come back to the center. And let your arms come down by your sides. So let's take 1 foot forward, just taking a little split stance with the legs. We're going to hinge forward from the hips, just walking down that front thigh, making sure you're not locking out your knee. See if you can begin to walk your fingertips towards the inside of that foot. Now, if that's a little bit too low for you, you could bend your knees. You may also choose to put your hands on the seat of a chair or your couch or a step stool to hold that stretching position. So just see where you're able to take this. Spine is long, squaring up the hips. Just soften the knees a bit so that we can slowly come back up the leg. And we're gonna bend this front knee even more, keeping the back leg extended. Take the same arm as leg is back, up and over, lean into the hip for a nice side stretch. Slowly come back up. And let's carefully just switch out the legs and take that on the other side. So hinging forward from the hips, long spine, pulling up through the tops of the thighs, walking down the leg, remembering the options to support this with a chair or a couch if you need. Walk the hands to the inside of that front leg if you can. Square up the hips, lengthen the spine. Good, soften the knees, let's roll back up. And bending that front knee even deeper, stretching away from that back heel, leaning away from that hip. Nice, let's come back up. Good. So we're going to move next and lower ourselves to the floor, going into a deep stretch pose. So take your feet wider than hip distance, allowing your knees to just slightly turn out from your hips. And we're going to squat as low as we can. Now your heels may begin to lift up. Just lower yourself to the floor as carefully as you can. So you might need to be here today. If you're able to bring your heels down, see if you can sit back into the feet. Just maneuver into that pose, see what's working for you. But once you get as low as you can go, you could use the elbows to open the knees, you could bring your hands together and lift your heart. Just find the version of this stretch that's working best for your body. This is just a great one also for the ankle, for the Achilles, building mobility through the ankle and the feet. Good. So wherever you are, let's take the hands just behind the hips so we can just sit down. And we're going to go ahead and take half of a butterfly pose. So we're going to bring the heel in and allow one knee to open, keeping this top knee bent in towards your chest. This hand's going to go to the floor, and we're going to take the same hand as knee is open and just gently press the knee towards the floor. See if we can twist away from that leg. If it feels like it's a little too intense to push on that knee, you may also bring your fingertips to the floor to help you with that twist. Let's turn back to the center and just change the legs, changing the positions of our hands, lifting and rotating the other way. So remember, fingertips can be down or on top of the knee. And release it. Beautiful. Good. So let's just sit cross-legged, taking one leg in front of the other. Sitting up tall, just kind of walking the sit bones back so that we can bring the ankles close to the knees. Lifting up through that spine. We're just going to slowly walk forward, pitching from your hips. And then I want you to just start to walk over to the corner, stretching out and over one knee. Keeping both sit bones in contact with your mat, keeping length through the spine, making sure you're still breathing nice and deep and free here. Good, let's slowly walk over to the other leg. Coming back to the center, walk the hands back in. Let's change the leg that's crossed in front so we emphasize the other hip a bit more. So again, take a minute to get into this position on the other side, walking the sit bones back, trying to draw the heels in towards where the knees are, shins as parallel or as close to parallel as we can get them. Walking forward, pitching forward with the pelvis. long spine. Let's start to this direction first. We're gonna walk over this leg, reach into the corner. And slowly walk it through the other side, making sure that opposite hip stays grounded down. Good. And one more time, returning to center, walking the hands in, rolling up to a seated position. Good, so let's get further into the hips. So we're gonna take one leg behind us, just opening up, and if this feels a little uncomfortable for you, feel free to bolster your pelvis by sitting on top of a pillow or a folded blanket or towel to give yourself a little more lift. We're going to concentrate on this back hip here, and you can play with the position of your feet, bringing them further away or closer in. We're going to drop this hip down to the mat, sitting back, and then we're going to press it forward, pushing, lifting, opening through the hip flexor, shifting the stretch into that front hip. Take it back, hip to the floor, and shifting forward. Taking it back, and shifting it forward. Just one more time, seeing if you might be able to bring that hip all the way towards the floor, and then pitching it forward, leaning over that front leg. Good, so while we're leaning over that front leg, let's walk forward, perhaps seeing if we could bring our elbows to the ground. Getting a little deeper stretch to that front hip. And then while you're here, see if you can bring this back forearm a little further back, and we're just going to roll onto that front hip, back arm, and see if we're able to lift this back leg, perhaps grab a hold of the ankle or the top of the foot with the hand, and gently pull it back for a stretch for the front of the thigh and the hip flexor. Thinking about pressing the hips forward, pulling that heel as far back towards you as you can. At the same time, not sinking too far into that bottom arm or shoulder. Pressing down, lifting the chest. Good, let's release it here. Before we move on to the other side, we're just going to pull that back leg around, see if we can stack the knees as close to each other as possible, and just take a little hip stretch forward. Some of you may be able to stack your knees directly on top of each other. You might need to modify by lessening that stack. Just see what feels right for you. Good, let's slowly set that up on the other side. So we're going to change the legs, bringing our other leg in front, opposite leg behind. Starting with that back hip, seeing if we can bring it down or at least close to the mat, and then shifting forward with the pelvis. Again, taking that back hip down, pressing down, and shifting forward. And back. One last time, taking it back and forward. We're going to keep pressing the pelvis forward, walking out over that front leg, perhaps seeing if we could bring the forearms to the floor. If you need to stay up on your hands, please feel free to do that. Feeling that stretch through that front hip. Let's move that back forearm a little bit further back, shifting back onto the hip, seeing if we can raise that back leg, grab a hold of the ankle with the hand, pulling the heel in closer, making sure that we're still supporting ourselves with that back arm, not sinking into the shoulder. Just take some nice deep breaths. Just so nice to take some time out of our busy day. You know, we're always so focused on the workout and the work, but this deep stretch time is so important to keep your muscles healthy, to keep your body moving through a full range of motion. So just make sure it's a balanced part of your regular exercise routine. Good, let's release it, and we're crossing that leg on top. Again, stacking the knees to your own degree, hinging forward from the hips. Take some nice deep breaths. Good. And bring it back in. So let's go ahead and turn over so that we're lying face down on the mat with the legs extended back behind the body. We're going to open into a chest stretch. So we're going to take the back arm straight out in line with the shoulder with the palm facing the floor. Front arm is bent, palm is giving us some assistance to turn away from that back arm and just start to open the body. Now you could just twist here. If you wanted to add your top leg for a little bit more leverage, you could bend it and step the foot on the mat behind that extended leg. Perhaps you want to look up towards the sky. Maybe you want to rest your head on the mat. Just make yourself comfortable. Feeling that stretch across the front of the chest, the front of the shoulder. Let's slowly and gently untwist. Changing the arm. Turning away. Adding the leg if that feels right. Coming back in, lying face down. Good. So opening a little bit more into the hips and the inner thighs, we're going to bend the knees out to the sides. Try to bring the bottoms of the feet towards each other. You may have more flexibility to open your knees even wider here, and if you can, go for it. And we're just going to gently lift one heel at a time, kind of shifting from one hip and then to the other, letting that pelvis move from side to side. That's it. One more time. Good. Bring the soles of the feet back together. And release the legs, extending them back out. Let's just bring them back underneath the hips and take a moment to turn onto our backs. So we're going to extend our back leg out straight. Take this front leg, keep the knee bent, but just stack your ankle on top of the knee or below the knee. So on top of the knee, meaning not directly on top of your kneecap, but higher than the kneecap. Opening the knee out to the side, keeping your hips square. You're going to take your front arm and pull the elbow across. So the hip is dropping down as we reach the arm in opposition to that stretching knee. Take some deep breaths. Let gravity just assist that knee towards the floor. Good, and then before we go to the other side, we're going to bend this knee and step the foot flat on the mat. Arms can come down by your sides, and we're going to press and lift the hip towards the back wall. So we want to try and get a stretch through the front of the hip flexor here. Lifting that hip as high up as you can, squeezing through the glutes to help stretch the front of the hip. Release it down. One more time, press down through the foot, squeeze the glute, press that hip across. Good, lower down. Let's set both of those up on the other side. So now we're gonna extend the front leg, bending the back knee, stacking the ankle above the knee, letting that bent leg open slightly to the side or as far to the side as it can. Take the back arm across the body, hug that arm across your chest. Feeling the weight of the knee, just opening the hip. Taking the arms back down by your sides, taking that bent knee, placing the foot on the floor, and lifting the back hip, pressing it forward, squeezing through the glutes. And release. One more time, push down through the foot, press and stretch across the front of your back hip. Good, release it down. Let's bend both knees now. Crossing this knee over out to the side, ankle on top of your bottom thigh. Lift the foot, see if you can hug underneath your thigh here. Perhaps you can bring your fingers on top of that bottom shin. Just hug both legs in towards your chest as close as you can without letting the tailbone tuck under or hips lift off your mat. We hold so much tension in our hips. It's just nice to take some nice deep stretches for them. Holding them long enough that everything can relax and open. Good. Now before we change legs, just release your hands, stack the knees on top of each other more, crossing the legs. Draw the knees in and see if perhaps you could grab a hold of the outside edges of your ankles, opening the feet a little wider to the sides, hugging the knees in, again, keeping the tailbone against the mat, deepening that stretch through the hip. Good, and go ahead and release your ankles. Now before we go to the other side, we're going to use that top leg to just pull the bottom knee over to the side, arms opening in line with the shoulders, palms facing down, and just drop the knees across the body. And slowly return the knees back to the center. Let's set that up on the other side. Uncrossing the legs, opening the knee to the side, lifting that foot, hugging underneath the thigh, maybe grabbing a hold of the shin. Pulling the knees as close to the chest as you can. And stacking the knees on top of each other, crossing the legs even more, seeing if we can grab a hold of the outside edges of our ankles. Still relaxing the breath. Hopefully the body is feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more open at this stage. And release your ankles, open the arms in line with the shoulders. Use that top leg to pull the knee towards the back of the room. Slowly come back to center, uncross the legs. Just let your knees fall open to the sides, flexing your feet, bringing your heels towards the sky. See if you can grab a hold of the toes and just gently pull back, stretching through the feet at the same time. Just letting the knees fall open. From here, bringing the soles of the feet towards each other and stretching the toes in the opposite direction, just pressing down on them. Seeing if perhaps you could bring the soles of the feet towards each other, lengthening through that spine. And bring your knees together. Let's just turn on to the side and come up to a seated position. Good. Just sitting with the legs crossed comfortably, lifting up nice and tall through the spine. Just letting your hands rest on top of your thighs, sitting up tall. If you'd like to spend a few more seconds here with your eyes closed. Just taking some time to tune into your breath, tune into your body, to press pause for a few more seconds before you jump back into whatever is left of your day. I want to thank you so much for spending this time with me today, for focusing on your body and your health. Please keep up the great work, and I hope to join you for another session soon. Take care, everybody.